Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to The Ghost of Molly McGee, episode 18. So, fun fact, the week I'm recording this, week after it came out and all, I haven't been recording this entire week. I've been kind of taking a little bit of a break, but obviously I needed to record at least something this week, because I needed to at least record Miss Marvel, because that's a weekly thing, and I can't miss that to get it out. But getting back into this has been interesting after just taking some days off, after so many weeks of just continuous recording constantly. It's just maybe it's also because I'm tired, because the day I'm recording this is also the day after I went to the wrestling show in Detroit, so there's that as well. But yeah, it's just, if I seem a little tired or a little out of it, that's why. Those are the reasons why. I'm getting back into this after having taken the rest of the week off so far, and I'm coming back after a long wrestling show. So anywho, one other thing to note before we really get going on this is this part was, like many, this episode was split into two parts, 18A and 18B, on the site, but the 18A link wasn't working. It wasn't letting me download it. I don't know why. The 18B one let me download it fine. So for 18A, since I can't find another way to get it, we're going to have to use the Spectral McGee site. Now, if you remember, we used this before, and the problem with it that we had back then is that it was laggy. It didn't work all that well in that regard. Now, I don't know if that's still going to be the case or not, but excuse me. But it's definitely going to be a possible issue. And no matter what, excuse me, no matter what, we're going to try to get through it and get on to 18B. 18B will be done normally just because I have it normally. And we would need to switch over anyway, so it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But yeah, we will hopefully get this all done without any issues. So let's actually get into this now. So, yeah, just more shenanigans have happened, and not again. It's like one of those shows that there's just really not a lot to talk about because there's not an ongoing story yet, at least. For now, it's still just episodic in its nature, and because of that, it doesn't really give you, a lot to discuss each time. I mean, last time we had, like, the Lucky Penny and everything, and it was good, and I very much enjoyed it. I mean, we had some good Libby and Andrea focus last time, but at the same time, it's like, it doesn't really tie into anything that I can tell. Now, we are getting towards the end of the season, though. I think there's like 21 episodes or something, like 21 episodes. So we're getting there. So that means we could start possibly getting into some kind of plot-based thing. Because so far this season has not had really anything with that. And it's like even other shows in their first seasons have done stuff like that. Like even Gravity Falls brought in Some story-based stuff. Owl House did. Obviously, Amphibia did. Um, but this show really hasn't. I don't know if that's going to start with this finale coming up, but I kind of hope there's at least something, because there's so much like possible setup for there to be an ongoing plot. And outside of just having the Ghost Council occasionally show up and occasionally get mentioned, there's not really an actual, story going on. There's not an actual ongoing plot. It's just there's this thing in the background that is somewhat sometimes brought up. It's not quite the same thing. But yeah, I'm definitely interested to see more nonetheless, because even without an ongoing narrative, I'm still very much enjoying this series overall. Like, yeah, some episodes may not be as good as others, but you could say that about Owl House. You could say that about Amphibia for sure. You could say that about anything. That's just how it's going to go. But even with that, I'm still going to get a lot of stuff that I am really excited for. So, and again, I apologize again for all the yawning and stuff. That wrestling show, like AEW, was long, for one. We were there from like 7 to after 11. And it was just tiring. There was a lot of, screaming and cheering and excitement and a lot of stairs. So yeah, it's just, I'm a little tired after that. So if I'm yawning more than usual, which, as I've said before, I do tend to yawn. You guys know I tend to yawn. But if I'm yawning more than usual, that's why. I'm still going to react. I'm still going to do everything. But yeah. But all of that being said, we're just going to get into this otherwise and hope for the best. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Has this show made me cry before? I'm actually not sure. I'm not certain. If it has, it hasn't happened a lot. As much as I've enjoyed the show, I don't think it's actually made me cry before. I'm not sure, but yeah, it definitely did here. Why is this not the finale? That scares me. Fittingly, I guess. This is finale level content here. Not only did we get, even if it was just for this episode, just for 2 segments here, we did get a ongoing story. And a pretty notable one, too, because of how this ends. The fact that the curse is gone because Molly and them, because the McGees moved out, even if only temporarily. That's a big fucking deal. And yeah, of course he's going to choose to stay with them anyways, but this is going to, I feel, have repercussions, right? Things are going to how is this going to go? How is this going to change things? I'm just in I'm in awe. I'm in shock and awe over this episode. Not just because of being as good as it was, and it was extremely good, like one of the best episodes so far. I don't know exactly where I'd put it. I'd have to watch it a couple more times, which I'll obviously do. Um, but yeah, it's just this episode was insanely good, both segments of it, and it almost felt like it could have just been a one, like one segment, like it could have been a double length segment instead of having two. Because Out of House and Home where is where the haunt is, it's like both of them were obviously separate issues that were going on, um, but at the same time they were so interwovenly connected that you could have just had them be one story without having to separate them into two segments. Um, but according to what I'm reading here, they also were directed and storyboarded by different people. Yes, I'm looking at information here. Sam King directed the first one, Out of House and Home is Where the Haunt Is, was directed by Stephen Henneveld. Might be getting the exact pronunciation on that wrong, so I apologize if I am. But yeah, the fact that there were two different directors is also wild to me because they feel, again, this episode and both segments feel so interwovenly connected. It feels like it was just all one thing. It was that strong. And that's wild to me, especially with it having two different directors. But yeah, so in the first segment, Pete injures himself falling out of the gutters because he obviously doesn't have the money to pay the magician, of all characters, to clean the gutters for them. So he's trying to do it himself. He falls out. He gets pretty badly injured. And because of it, in order to pay the medical bills, because the American healthcare system is fucking stupid, they need to do everything they can, do odd jobs, collect extra money in any way possible. Molly is trying to sell baked goods, even though she messes them up, but it works out. She ends up selling them for a different reason. And Daryl's selling his exotic plants, including the carnivorous ones, which is hilarious. Yeah, and they eventually get the money by the end, but they end up finding out that they forgot to pay their mortgage. And it's like, how long were they raising this money? Because it's like, they would get notices. Like, even if they were super busy, they would get notices. And two, it's like, I don't think they would get kicked out that quickly. Like, they couldn't have been doing that for more than a month, right? In fact, I really honestly doubt it was that long. I don't think they would be kicked out that quickly, that easily, but it's a cartoon. But they are being kicked out. The house is being resold and everything. They have to leave, and they do. And that leads into the second one where because they don't have anywhere else to go at the moment, they have to kind of live in their van in the woods. While trying to figure everything out. They have apparently 30 days another month before the house can, I guess, legally be sold. And so they have to try to figure out what they can. Molly's still going to the school, though she's trying really hard to not worry everyone and trying really hard to not reveal what's going on, but not really being good at it. The song in the second one is so fucking good. It's like, I don't know why, but the entire thing about like a character pretending everything is fine while very clearly and visibly going crazy is just so entertaining to me, and I can't explain exactly why. But yeah, we see her just going absolutely insane from it, from the sorrow and the fear, and yeah, it's a tough thing because this was supposed to be their forever home. They were so hell-bent on that idea, which is a fine idea. But the problem is it didn't quite end up working out like that from their experience, and that kind of broke them in a way. And of course, during this entire thing, Pete is trying to be like very cautious about how to present it to the kids because they can see how the kids are taking it, and Sharon's just trying to like rip that band-aid off, and neither of them are doing a good job of hiding this because they whisper too loud. But yeah, it's just it does actually build up the tension, and once you start seeing like the flashbacks of like all that's happened, it's like it really actually starts to hit you. It's like, oh Jesus, why are you making me cry? But then it's like at the end, near the end, we see Andrea discover them in the woods because apparently the woods are going to be used for a new warehouse or something for Davenport's. Andrea looks genuinely concerned, actually, which is really cool that Andrea's character is developing this much, even if it is being done slowly. But we see her looking concerned, and then when she sees what's happening, and she very clearly puts it together, even if Molly's trying to hide it still, you could see her, like, freaked out by it. And as I was saying in the reaction, it's like, oh yeah, she would definitely be freaked out by this kind of thing because, you know, she's a rich girl and kind of spoiled and wouldn't quite understand the idea of not having a home and stuff. And so she like kind of just like pieces out, and when the McGees get one last chance to say goodbye to the house, they're greeted by everyone else there. Everyone from Brighton who all chipped in because of everything they've done for Brighton and got them their house back. Thanks to Andrea. And it's like, Andrea is still Andrea. She's still like, you know, gonna be herself. But the fact that she went out of her way to rally the entire town to do this and all says a lot about her character. And like, she even mentioned everything Molly did for her too, and it's like, yeah, she did. And it's like, it's clear that Andrea does actually genuinely she's thankful for it. She appreciates it. And even though like she's still going to be Andrea and everything, that's still great character development. I really, really love that. And I've compared her to Pacifica before from Gravity Falls. And while things are not quite the same with that, it's like there are some comparisons you could draw up there. And I think that's awesome. Because Pacifica is my favorite character from Gravity Falls. Because I really, really like a good redemption arc for a snobby, mean, bully character. It's just, I really get into those kind of redemption arcs because they always just like feel really cool to see a character evolve that much. One of the same reasons I love Amity so much, though there's a lot of other reasons for that too, mind you, but still. Yeah. So I really, you guys know I love Andrea. You know she's one of my favorite characters, so it comes as no surprise that I really love what they're doing with her here. And again, this feels like a finale. With them being forced to leave and move out of what has become the kind of one of the main settings for the entire series so far. All the flashbacks, even the town coming together to save them at the end, it all reads as a finale. The fact that there's 2 whole episodes after this, what the fuck is going to happen? I obviously have not looked at the titles of them because I don't want to be spoiled, and titles can definitely possibly spoil you. I have no idea what the fuck is going to happen. Where do you go from there for a finale? The only thing I can think of is that it has something to do with the Ghost Council, but I don't know. who knows when all of that's actually going to really come to a head? Because that's the only thing I could see at this point that would be a bigger thing to have for the finale. I don't know. It's just, this was a wild, amazing episode. And I'm very excited to see where they take it with the last 2 episodes starting next week. So I thank you all so much for tuning in. Tell me your thoughts on this episode of The Ghost of Molly McGee down below. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.